Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. I am 1 minute late because I had a glitch in my internet. But here we are. Here we are, another morning, moving into our discussion. I want to thank all those who are joining me. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here as I set up properly. Because of my internet, I hope we have a great session this morning because we need to discuss beyond success how purpose-driven leaders can make a difference and a lasting impact. So I just want to thank all those who are joining and give you just a few more minutes to stay with me. Just a few more minutes so you can come and join. Let me hope you're having a great day this morning and that your morning has started the way you want your morning to begin. So that we can actually have a good time. Last week, for the last 4 weeks, we have been talking about purpose, what it means, how not to confuse your role and your purpose. What are the levels of assignment and how does your assignment, your life script, and your life moves you into the direction of your purpose. And last week we talked about the characteristics of a purpose-driven leader. Today we want to talk about beyond success. How can purpose-driven leaders make a difference, a lasting impact? How can they leave a legacy? And I want to thank you, Sohil Dol, for joining me. I haven't seen you for a long time. It's so good to have you here with me and my regular LinkedIn user. Hello, good morning. I see you, Karen. Thank you so much for joining. Happy Tuesday, beautiful people. And you are having a great start to your morning. Thank you so much. I'm having a great start, although I'm recovering from the flu. And so, as you can see, I am talking about leadership, which is very common. And that is my mantra every day as I start my program. Leadership is common, but purpose-driven leadership is scarce. And more we're seeing that. Purpose-driven leadership is scarce, very scarce. Being about the people is scarce. Empowering others to become masters of their own destiny is scarce. We keep rewarding compliance, and we see compliance as excellent teamwork, as consensus, and as you being a successful leader. There is a phrase that says successful leadership is having people do or getting people to do what you want them to do. That is compliance. That's not leadership. And so we want to dig in today to talk about how purpose-driven leaders can leave a lasting impact. And so I say, your success journey of purpose, your journey of purpose and growth starts with you. And if it's not you, then who? And so I present my book, A Leader Like You, which really is a guide to purposeful leadership. And I say those who have not yet received their copy, you may need to go out and get your copy. So how does purpose-driven leaders create lasting impact in 2025 and beyond? Let's talk about that a little. I want to start by saying that you should want to be a leader who is driven by purpose, not by your position or power. And so effective is tied to purpose and not position or power. Because if it is tied to your position or power, when you lose your power or your position, you are left empty. So you want to be that leader that, first of all, ensure that your position and power is not the fulcrum on which you rest. Hi, Patrick. Thank you so much for joining. And Margaret, I see you. I am feeling enthused because there are so many persons that I admire, so many colleagues that I listen to that are here. Thank you, Nicholas. I see you. I see you. I see you. Thank you so much. And so we want to now look at the 4 key principles for me that makes you leave a lasting impression. And I believe that as we discuss it to this morning, I want us to pay keen attention. I want us to take notes. The first question I want you to answer for yourself is, are you a leader that is tied to your position and authority? Or do you have a purpose? And if you have a purpose, do you know what your purpose is? Because you want to write down what is your ultimate purpose. If you have been joining this series from it started until now, then you would have already identified your purpose. You would have already differentiated your role, and you would have seen how your role is attached to your purpose. And you would have also seen the assignment or the role that you're in and at what level you are and how far you are from bridging the gap between your role, between your assignments, between your position and your purpose. So today, I'm just digging into how you can leave a lasting impression. Thank you, Karen. Yes, your book, Dr. Marcy, has so much tools to reinforce us as leaders. Thank you so much. I agree totally. So I am saying, don't just lead, influence, inspire, and impact. Why am I saying that? Everybody's purpose culminates in this one thing: service to man and service to God. And so you must inspire, you must impact, and you must grow. You must inspire yourself first through an understanding and clear direction given to you by your purpose that you have tapped into God to fully embrace and understand at the stage that we call the commission stage. You must have gone through the levels of preparation, sustenance, anointing, and appointment to get to the full commissioned stage. And when you get there, you would have been inspired enough to inspire others. Your impact would have been felt, which we are going to discover is significance, and you would be growing at every level and pulling those to grow with you to become masters of their own destiny by understanding their purpose, their assignment, and how it integrates into the bigger picture of wherever they are placed to honor God and to pull others into their purpose. And so we are not created as purpose driven leaders, those who get to that understanding and that free state. That's why I have what I call a free model, to understand where they are and to use their unique gifts and talents to serve others. And as they lift others up, they lift up themselves and they lift up Christ so he can draw men to him, because you are the vessel that he uses, because you're the only Jesus the Son will ever see. So you want to be there and you want to understand. Yes, Margaret, I agree. Your purpose is what fuels you. Without your purpose, you are empty. A leader should be able to serve others by influencing, inspiring, and impacting them. Perfect summary. And so the four key principles that I have here, because leadership is not a position or a title, very much so, Patrick, it is action, an example. Leading by example. You must believe what you are asking other persons to believe. You must believe in yourself so that others, and teach others to believe in themselves too. You must not be afraid of creativity and innovation. And you must not be afraid of opposition, because people sometimes oppose your views and values because they are finding themselves, and they are actually going through the journey of cementing their core values. So they are able to attach themselves to something much bigger than themselves and something more meaningful. And so we want to make sure that we understand that. So let's go to the four key principles, because I rambled a little. The difference between success and significance is the top principle, because so many of us are chasing success, the title, the achievements, the accolades, and of course they are good, but they are not the only guideline or benchmark or identifier of your success. And I posted some time ago that your character is more important than your name, and that is where significance come in. Your character. Your character is what shines and allows you to lead with light and leave a legacy even after you are gone. We have Nelson Mandela, we have Martin Luther, and the greatest example is Jesus. For ages, no one, if we forget to call Mandela's name, if we forget to call Martin Luther, if we forget to call Marcus Garvey, we will never, everybody calls Jesus' name because of the lasting impact that he has left for us to follow. The next key is how to lead with influence, not just authority. The third key that we're going to talk about today is building a sustainable leadership model. How do we do that as purpose-driven leaders? As leaders, competent or unforgettable. The mindset shift from good or competent to transformational or unforgettable leadership. And so let's dig into the first one, the difference between success and significance. If you're able to inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, then you are a leader. Hi, Sherry. Yes, our character is more important. Thank you so much. Grand Rising, my dear. All right. Purpose-driven leaders understand that they must create meaningful, lasting change in the lives of others and also in the world or their environment. And so they understand that creating this lasting impact, changing lives, changing outcomes, and allowing persons to become masters of their own destiny is not personal achievements. It's not tied to titles. It's not tied to profits. It's not tied to accolades. It's tied to who you are. And so, who are you? And who do you want to be is the next question I want us to answer. So, we want to answer the purpose or core desire, our greatest dream, our ultimate way that we see ourselves and what we are doing in this world or what we want to do. Understanding what you're created to do. Understanding the problem that you are created to solve. Understanding that is what is the difference between success and significance. So success, many leaders tie their success to their personal achievements, their titles, their profits, and their accolades. And if you don't highlight them, they get real upset. It's a disservice to them and the sacrifice they have made and the foundations that they have laid. That's good of God, and that's great. But let us more want to tie ourselves to how we impact others, how much they knew that we cared, how we changed their lives and their outcome, and how we made them become masters of their own destiny, how we lead them to themselves and to the bigger picture of who they are and what they were created to do. And we call that leadership significance, which is influence, legacy, and transformation. So you become unforgettable, not necessarily to the world, but to those whose lives you were created to touch, because you are created to do anything. And that is something that we want to understand. And that's why so many of us mix up work and fulfillment. We are trained how to work, but not how to be fulfilled. Hi, Ernest. Thank you so much for joining. And Amelia, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that. So we want to make that clear. That's the difference. And so how do I move from success to significance? That's the principle number one that we will be dealing with, the difference. And so as I said before, we chase our success, many leaders, and we see success as being measured by our money and our possessions, our promotions, our recognition. But purpose-driven leaders is more centered on significance that carries a different type of success, a success that is lasting. And so they are concerned about leaving a legacy that positively affects people long after they are gone. And this significance, this legacy that they are concerned about is by default. When you step into your purpose, you carry transformation. When you understand your purpose, when you're pressing into your purpose, when it is all about your purpose, what you're created to do, the problem you're created to solve, who you are really created to serve, the people that you must pull into becoming masters of their own destiny, then a legacy is automatically created. Transformation follows in its suit, and also success. So it is a great package. And let me talk about someone now, because I'm a Christian leadership coach. For those who are just joining and don't know who I am, I'm a Christian leadership coach, and I help and empower women 40 plus who are not failing. They are not failing, they are just not fulfilled. To identify what is it that they have been created to do and to move into doing it, using their gifts to profit them by doing what they are created to do, what they love, joyful work, and to become significant, to leave the legacy that they want to leave. That's the sum total of what I really do. Of course, I train also leaders and teams to integrate their faith with their purpose in their individual roles and carry together into an integrated step. And I also am a motivational speaker and a best-selling international author. So for those who don't know me, I just want you to know, yes, when we step into our purpose, we experience transformation, and we'll have others to experience transformation. And that is automatic, Karen. I agree with you. Once persons are transformed, you are transformed. And that's why I say everyone's purpose culminates into three aspects: inspiring, impacting, and growing. Once you're in your purpose, you constantly grow. And Solomon understood the difference between success and significance. Of course, in the whole world, the Bible does not record anyone else to come or beyond, not even those who are billionaires now, to have greater than Solomon. And Solomon, with all his achievements, his women, his life, his authority, his power, his respect, his trust, and all his honor, in Ecclesiastic 1 verse 2, explained that all is vanity and vestation of spirit, meaning it became meaningless, which suggests that a higher purpose, success without this higher purpose, is actually empty. And so purpose-driven leaders focus on building, but not just on what they build, people, change lives, change outcome, but who they are impacting. and how they are impacting them. Because true impact or influence change the lives and the mindset of persons. So we must understand that we teach people to become masters of their own destiny. That's very important. And so the task of leadership is not to put greatness into people. Purpose driven leaders understand that is to pull the greatness that they already have in them out of them. And so that is why we understand the difference between compliance and collaboration. Persons who are complying, which in the natural world here, in the work world, in the industries, are given perfect evaluations because of compliance, are not necessarily purposeful. Because many persons comply so they can feel safe, so they can get benefits, so they can remain competent and not be failing, but they are many times apologizing to their purpose. They are not feeling fulfilled. When they are left alone with their thoughts, when the position is removed, when the title is removed, when the power, the authority is removed, they now live with regret. What am I living for? What have I lived for? What is all this worth? And Solomon got to that place. Because as we said in the first lesson, in the first class, in the first session, purpose is intrinsic, starts from the inside, and your role is extrinsic. It's really the what that you use to carry out your why. And we want to be sure that we understand that. So we want to now shift from success to significance. How do I do that? Invest in people, not just profits. Focus on the legacy and not the leadership. Do what you are created, do what you're born to do, what you love to do, what is giving you the joy and the fulfillment, how persons change because of you. Focus on that. Because leadership significance is really serving people, impacting people, changing outcomes, and so on. Naturally. It's not a forced. And that's why when persons step into their purpose, when persons understand their commission, I call it fully commissioned or purposefully commissioned in my book, A Leader Like You, in that chapter where I talk about purposeful commission. That is where you are settled in your purpose. You cannot turn back. Your purpose now overtakes you and you meet the light where it is and you are walking in that light. Challenges come. Serious issues will come upon you, but you are not focused there because you have the end in sight. Your destination is clear to you, and the path that you're to take has been established by God. He has made straight paths for your feet. So every challenge you encounter, He has already provided the solution. And as we talked about it last week, when you get to that stage where you understand what you're created to do and you commit yourself to doing it, then the resources that were pre-approved, pre-designed, and pre-prepared will be given to you, because now you can handle all, because you have aligned your goals with God's greater mission. And so he says you're to seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all the things that you need will be added to you. So true success is found when we align our leadership with God's purpose, because then we love others as ourselves. We treat others the way we want to be treated if the position is reversed, and we pull persons into their purpose path and show them how it can be sustained. And that is the difference between focusing on success as against significance. God wants us to be significant. He doesn't want us to focus on success. He wants us to, in the end, tell him how we have, what we have done with the gifts and talents that he has given to us. Alignment is the key, Joan, very much so. Alignment is the key. Hi, Marie and Ule. Thanks for joining us here. So what matters as you are saying, Amelia, which is where I was going, is investing in people, not profit, and aligning our goals with God's greater mission and plan for her life. So we must align our leadership first of all. All right, so let's talk about principle two. When we talk about principle number two, we are talking about leading with influence, not just authority. So a title or a role or a position makes you a leader, but influence makes you impactful. It gives you purpose. So God says, and He understands that. He says, listen, man, whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant. Because significance means that you are serving, not yourself, others. Success means the title that is important, the position that has become important means that you are serving yourself. And nobody's not saying you're not to be rewarded for what you're doing. You're not to be highlighted because, of course, if you're competent and you're good, if people see that you get done what you're required to get done, and if you are able to make people very more compliant, then you are seen as a very transformational, exceptional leader because you get people to say yes. You are very effective. You're very. And I was in where I led my technocrats felt that compliance was what would make you exceptional. And of course, I got persons to comply, but from a consensus and collaborative framework. Immediately after I discovered that their framework does not honor people, do not change people, do not make people become their best self, is not really hinged on valuing people. It's really on outcomes and profits. The moment I realized that, I was able to create this program because I lived it so that we can get persons to understand their significance and how their role is important enough because of how it is tied to their purpose and what they're created to do and solve, so they can be joyful at work. It took me a long time because, as I said, we are taught how to work and not how to be fulfilled. Getting persons to appreciate fulfillment is harder than you think. And so I'm hearing you, linking user. The great leader empowers others primarily. It's not about empowering yourself, yes. And so persons, because they have been taught to work, taught to rely so much on the external things of titles, positions, and so on, and achievements and accolades, and being highlighted and being revered, they don't understand fulfillment. It's not automatic. It's a long, tedious process to pull people out of the productivity illusion that you, once you get these type of results, once you get persons to comply, once you get persons to automatically say yes, you're a great leader. And so the empowerment part of it requires some understanding. It requires active listening. It requires inclusion. It requires allowing persons to test themselves to see what they can produce. It requires personal accountability, not being bought or sold. True to your duty as a needle to the pole, in your innermost soul, being honest and right, and being able to make the right decision rather than the popular decision. And many leaders make the popular decision. However, the purpose driven leader, the leader that is about significance, who is leading with influence, just don't command people. They inspire you to want to operate in a team and add and contribute your value, your thoughts, your dreams, your ideas, and mentoring you to fit them where they are supposed to be, or to delete those that are not working. So it's not about you, it's about the team. And so you make decisions that is collectively beneficial to all and not just to one person. And so that is where the empowerment come in, because you're allowing others to grow into their full potential. You are teaching them how to swim in the water and not necessarily to swim on land. And that comprehension brings such a deep understanding that they begin to see how they trigger others and how others trigger them. And they now are able to move into the cohesive direction, whether immediately or eventually, because they understand the bigger picture and how they fit as the smaller parts to make the complete whole. All right. Thank you, Margaret, for your authentic leadership and this inspiring event full of obedient wisdom from the Lord. I appreciate you too. All right, Joan, your point serving and how you serve, it shows and it's impactful. Fulfillment is a process, and when that is attained, it's magical. I have to agree with that. Perfect addition. When fulfillment is attained, it's magical. Trust me. And principle number 3 now is building a sustainable leadership model. And so we want to understand, as you have rightly said, Joan, leadership is not is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint. And we have to have patience because patience comes with purpose. We have to have principles because principles come with purpose. Of course, we carry power because transformation, which is purpose-driven leadership, comes with a certain amount of power. And we have looked at that last week or the week before when we looked at assignments and in the preparation stage where God says, you shall receive power. So all of us have been given the power, our gifts, our talents, our unique callings, and our unique abilities, and so on. You have all been given. We have been created fearfully and wonderfully with our unique gifts and talents. Embracing them and being one with them attaches our core values to our who we are so that we can now establish our purpose. So leading with influence includes making decisions that is beneficial to all. Very much so. Good point. And beneficial to yourself. So first of all, we have to understand that if we're building a leadership model, it takes time. Because as we say, leadership is a journey. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a real long distance because it carries you to the end and allows you to leave that legacy, that lasting legacy. So many competent leaders, most of them, many good leaders, many effective leaders burn out themselves trying to achieve success, that external validation. But the purpose-driven leader focus on the sustainability, on the character and not the name, on the why and the how and not the what. And so Moses found himself focusing on burning out himself, trying to do things on his own, trying to get accolades, trying to be where the achievements are there, trying to meet deadlines, trying to accomplish a goal. But his father-in-law, Jethro, said to him, man, that is not your purpose. Get help, share the burden, equip other people, build other leaders, which is really what God placed in there to do. Include other people so that your purpose becomes sustainable and your leadership establishes a model that others can follow in their role, whatever role they are in, and who is to accompany your purpose, because your purpose carries destiny helpers. And believe me, carries destiny delayers. So there are some persons who know, understand your mission or your purpose. And in the first session, we talked about that. So the moment you bring the prompting on your heart, that brilliant idea that is gnawing at you, that makes you feel guilty and you don't know what crime you commit, the moment you take it to some people, they laugh at you. And that is why some people are saying, and I keep saying it, somebody told me that I would be sitting at this point at the head of a corporation, or I would be in nursing, then I would say to them, you are lying. That's not where I saw myself, but I am the most fulfilled where I now am. It took me some time to get here. It took me some time to understand that this is what I should be doing. But the moment I understood it, the moment I stepped forward, the moment I pressed into this as a purpose, the moment I answered that calling, that persistent call and that prompting, persistent prompting, I was able to be free. And that's why I have what I call a free model. I use a free method because when you find your purpose, you are truly free. And so we want to understand how we shift from how we create this sustainable model. And to create or build a sustainable leadership model, we want to delegate and develop others. We don't want to carry the weight alone. We want to teach others to fish so that they are able to change their own lives, that they're able to change their outcomes, understand their purpose, and become masters of their God given destiny. So they carry themselves into a significant position that allows them to also lead by example and leave that model for others to follow as they themselves stepped into their role and assignments and use their natural skills and talents to do what they were created to do or they solve the problem that they were created to solve. One of my clients yesterday told me that she is so loving the sessions that she's having because she is good at her hands. She can create spectacular, exceptional artifacts out of just simple things. And she showed me some of her examples as she fell into her purpose. And she's understanding that this is a part of her purpose. So that she can profit from. And so she's putting her portfolio together. So she begins to put herself out there in that way, something meaningful. And these artifacts are what serve persons, gave people delight. She created them for appreciation and so on from natural products. And they are so spectacular. And so that's one of the ways that she sorted out. Another client of mine lost her job at 50, had to make a change, wasn't surprised. She also ended up finding that she got a special gift. She had a child at 50. It was so devastating. But this life changing event made her create a space for single mothers or persons, and persons also who needs a space to talk about menopausal mothers who come together and single mothers also. She created that space for them where they can feel safe and their children can be safe. So she houses those children, has a lovely place that she has developed that teaches, that nurtures, helps smaller children, beginners, babies, and powerful caregivers, and also allow mothers to have a place where they can go and collect their children. There's another client that I have who stepped away because she felt very successful, but she stepped away from her organization because she felt that she was disrespected over a period of time and she just couldn't bother anymore. But she, as she spoke with me and we pulled her purpose out, she decided and realized that she had always loved nursing, but for some reason she had succumbed to the expectations of the family, the overwhelming expectations that they did business, so she should be doing something in business. She went back to nursing school at 55 and she is now a nurse up to 63 doing a great job. So she's feeling quite fulfilled. And so our purpose must give us ultimate joy. That's it. It must. And it can because it's about serving. And in the process, we can also live from it. And so awareness, you're quite right, Joan, awareness is so important. And having that knowing within is the ultimate joy. It's actually divine. Very good. And so we must also, if we are to build a sustainable leadership, pour into ourselves what we need to pour into others. And that outpouring comes from God. So it's not something that we do. Purpose driven leadership is not something that we do to people, it's something that we do with people. And so we have to prioritize self care, which includes rest and renewal. And even Jesus removed for a time and went to a solitary place. And there were times when he said to his disciples, come and rest, because you cannot give what you don't have, even when you know your purpose, even when you know what you are created to do, and even when you know the problem you are created to solve, and even when you can do it. If you do not nurture yourself, your spirit, your mind, your body, if there is not a composite whole, then you'll find that you delay it or you derail it, because you have to be fully in it. And rest and renewal is important, very important part of that type of purpose-driven sustainability leadership. So you also have to have a vision. The Bible says, without the vision, the people perish. But you are to write that vision and you are to make it plain. We hear that clearly. And God is a very strategic, organized person. And he says, write your vision and make it clear. So you must have a vision. You must adopt that long-term vision. And you must be building, not just achieving. So even when you're achieving your purpose, as I said, I think it's last week or the week before, as you move from the different levels, you realize that you're growing and building, and that you're making an impact at each level. And each time you make that impact, your impact becomes greater as you get to your commission stage. People feel you. They know you care. Their lives are being changed. They are overcoming. Their outcomes are changing. They are becoming masters of their own destiny, confident, and they are clear about what they are supposed to be doing in their own right, using their gifts, their talents, and their natural God's calling to propel themselves. So they are not doing yours. They are not using your gifts and talents. They are using theirs, because you have pulled their greatness out of them. And so that's where it is. And so we have that example of Nehemiah as and Moses as they moved into building. And so the Bible says, which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down and estimate the cost? So it's very important that we do all of that. And so sustainable leadership ensures your impact lasts beyond your presence. So even when you are not there, persons are able to carry on and do a great job, because they are masters of their own destiny. They understand how they fit and they understand what is required. There are so many persons when leaders, when they are not in their organization, things just suddenly go down because everything revolves around them. Of course, you're competent and you are capable, but you are not transformational. Yes, Joe. Self-care is indeed important. Rest, renewal, and rejuvenation. And you have a book, Joan and Karen has a book, Self-Care. Very much is intentional. It's a very great book. And there's also one that talks about how to feed your gut, how to nurture that health, so that you're able to avoid burnout, acid reflux, and all of those things. So you need to go out and get those two books if you have not gotten them yet. We have to serve from a full cup. And that is the point we are making here. So as I come down to how to make that shift from good to transformational leadership, which is the next slide, I want to talk about this principle, which is principle 4. How do I make the shift, this mindset shift from good or competent leadership to transformational or unforgettable leadership? Thanks for joining us, Sam. Good morning. Thank you so much. You see, the difference between a good leader, a competent leader, or a good leader, and a transformational or unforgettable leader is the vision. So the good and competent leader is concerned with compliance, meeting the deadlines, getting those things done, having everybody doing what they're supposed to do when, and majoring in the goals, meeting the goals. But the transformational leader is concerned about why these persons are loyal, why they must be accountable, personally accountable, why their creativity matters, why their innovation matters, how they can be a part of any growth or change, and what is the impact that they will make in this organization. And so everybody is treated fairly, justly, and with respect, and everybody gets the trust and have what is called shared trust and shared responsibility. So the janitor knows that I have these are what have been assigned to me, and if the office is not prepared, and if it is not handled, then I can wreck this institution. As simple as that. So the janitor doesn't see him or herself as replaceable, but feel valued and appreciated in the role, and understand that my purpose is really to support, is really to mentor, is really supposed to be uh, giving people peace of mind. And so I know that when my team members, notice the terms I'm using, come into their office, they are more productive when their space is clean and organized, when the room smells nice. There are persons who are allergic to this, so I know the type of things I must use to do the cleaning and so on. It's a big and important thing, very important thing. I must make sure that the floor, that if something is wrong, that the adjustment is made, because John tends to be slipping a lot on this. So I must make sure that there is none grit. And those are important things that people take for granted. But the transformational leader understands the importance of that and values the input in such a way that they take all of what is needed in that department from this person who is capable in that role and very good in your own right, and see the bigger reason and the purpose. And so we want to make sure. So we find that a lot of persons tend to complain. A lot of persons complain when persons are not compliant. But if we look at including them, getting consensus, valuing their input, and not make them competitors so much, as good and competent leaders sometimes use, because that's a strategy that is guided and out there as a principle to use to help persons to produce more in your environment. So you set them competitions and deadlines so they begin to compete instead of collaborate. And persons set themselves apart because they are always receiving accolades for meeting deadlines and being compliant, rather than for team building and support and being a team player and pulling others that are behind upward by actively listening and understanding as middle managers. And so those things are very much confused. I deal with it in detail in my book. And so Nehemiah didn't complain about the broken walls. He led a movement to rebuild it. He got persons. He inspired people to see the reason why we should collaborate, why resilience and faith-driven action is important to rebuild this. And that's what the purpose-driven leader does in the organization, to move from good and competent to transformational and unforgettable leadership. We inspire people. We push them to collaborate by listening to what they are saying, and allowing them to share their ideas regardless of how fearful they are. Because transformational leadership, purposeful leadership does not drive fear into people. And so we want to look at how we build the resilience. So we look at how we help them and support them and ourselves to accept change and to thrive during challenging circumstances that every organization or industry goes through, and how they can build faith-driven actions based on their personal issues that they might be struggling with, the challenges that are not job related but impact job. We build that type of cohesion so that they come to work showing up unapologetically. They are able to appreciate themselves and not be too hard on themselves. They are able to recognize what triggers them and how they trigger others. And they are able to be able to communicate how they are feeling without feeling attacked, and so, or judged. And so those are some of the things that the title or position does not allow. And so if we are to talk about the transformational leadership shift, we have to talk about the mindset and the set of actions that follow the mindset. Karen is saying that environment is one of our 12 components we coach from. Very good. Your environment is so impactful. And environment, Karen, is impactful because you create your environment, or you support an environment that's not working, or you can build one that is working. And so your environment is very impactful. And you make an impact on your environment, because as we had said before in one of those sessions, is that sometimes our purpose puts us in a toxic environment to change the persons, because every organization has a brain and a heart. And when you enter that environment, it is to change the brain, the mindset, so that the environment becomes more productive and more inclusive, more loving, more tolerant, more accepting of difference and others. And also to change your heart so that team building and team spirit increases. You are placed in that role and you wonder how you got there and why you're there. And sometimes we are placed in environments also to change us, because there are things that we need. There are traits that we had prayed for. And I gave the example, and we'll give it here again, that there was someone who prayed for patience and God gave him a contentious neighbor. So it's very important that we understand that. Now, our space must also be very, very simple, because as you say, I agree with you, Joan, you must declutter your space so you can navigate easily and you can focus. I'm sorry. And that navigation that you're talking about easily is not just space, but emotions, feelings, egos, fears, limitations, challenges, being able to navigate that because you see your path clearly. The cluttering creates issues that makes it harder for you to embrace and change your environment or make an impact on your environment. So we want to look at that. Then we want to look at making that shift. How do we make the shift? We think beyond ourselves. We create ripple effects. How do we create ripple effects? We say we allow persons to become masters of their own destiny. We allow them to see how they can change their outcomes and how they can change their lives and tuck themselves into their purpose so they can be free to navigate life and leadership, personal and professional. So we want to be clear about that. We think beyond ourselves. We serve people. We impact lives. I'm sorry. We inspire. We help persons to grow as we grow. So we are not setting concrete. Purpose-driven leaders are adaptable. You adapt to the roles, to the message, the mission that God gives to you. And sometimes it gets greater than we think we are capable of doing. And we can't see the way out. But as I said, the way is provided. And we can't see what we are called here to do, but we are not to focus on the what. Whenever we focus on the what, we derail, or we put our purpose into dormancy. We must constantly see the why by asking the why, by focusing on the why, and by getting the wisdom from God, because it is something bigger than us. The thing about purpose too is that once purpose is pre-approved and pre-designed by God. And once you are given the purpose, God doesn't change your purpose. When you see your purpose and when you understand your purpose, you simply sign the contract between the human and the divine. And you are equipped and very capable now to fulfill that purpose. You might not know the hows, but you actually know the why. And because you know the why, God provides the how, because He does not equip you and not provide the resources. And while it may sound cliche, it's a fact. And we could sit here and go into examples, but we really don't have the time. But there are many persons who say to you, I don't know how, but I decided I was led to Mark. And Mark was seeking a brilliant idea like this that he could invest in. And Mark, after I presented my big brilliant idea, what is on my heart, and how showed him how I think it can be done. Mark put up the investment without even batting an eye. And it's a long story short, this is where it has ended up. This is how I'm touching lives. This is how I'm changing outcomes, and so on. And so there are persons with those stories that appear to be miraculous, but God gives the resources once you understand and you are ready to press into your purpose, because your purpose is waiting for you when you're ready to accept it. And so you also embrace change and innovation. You're very willing to challenge the old ways so that you can put what is there in place. And then we lead with resilience. We see setbacks as part of the transformation, as part of the challenge, of part of the growth path, of part of the impact. Because as we said before, your purpose really must serve others and honor God. That's it. It's obedience to God through service to mankind in the using your gifts and your talents, your natural gifts and talents that you have been given to do the work, to solve the problem that you were created to solve. So you must know why you exist. So good leaders maintain the present. Good and competent leaders, they do what is required of them in the present daily, making sure that this is accomplished and that is ticked off. But the transformational leader builds the future, puts it all together and work with it in a way that makes change people's mindset and action. So how can we make that shift that separates good and competent leaders from transformational and unforgettable leaders? The good leaders, the competent leaders are more concerned about managing the team and delivering the results, but the transformational leader does that, but goes a little further to inspire the movements and shape the future. So that's really one of the difference. The next thing is that good and competent leaders focus a lot on performance and efficiency. The transformational and unforgettable leader does that, but looks at creating a legacy, the impact and long-term influence. So they look at what will happen after they are gone, and they encourage persons and support persons to become masters of themselves, to lead themselves, to become personally accountable, to be very good team players, to listen actively to persons, and to change through influence and not through title and position. So they look at cohesiveness, collaboration. They look at consensus. They look at empathy, kindness, and they look at compassionate leadership as ingredients to push people forward into their purpose and to pull greatness from people. Very tolerant of human nature, but very firm in getting persons to add value to themselves and to change mindsets and beliefs, routines, and habits that are not working for them. And making persons understand and making that conscious, informed choice that I want to achieve my full God-given potential. I want to leave this world a better place. I want to make a contribution. I want to change a life, even if that life is mine. And so if we want to leave a legacy, we must be a leader that is driven by purpose and not position. We must understand that without a higher purpose, success is empty. We are not to just focus on what we are building, but who and how we are impacting them. We must look at aligning our goals and our leadership with God's purpose. And we must empower others and raise up future leaders. We want to be sure about that. The next thing that we want to do in leading a legacy is that we must understand and anchor ourselves by purpose instead of our goals. And we must be concerned with cultivating long-term relationship instead of transaction. We must also be committed to demonstrating excellence through self-discipline and not imposing power and authority and our position on people. And we are not to try to put greatness in people. We are to elicit the greatness that is already in them. And so as I come to the end of this session, the key takeaway I want us to have is that mindset shift from leading for success to leading for significance. So if you want to be a leader who leaves a lasting impact, you need to stop focusing only on your career success, your achievements, your accolades, your title, your position, your roles, and you want to start building people. Very much so in your roles, with your title, with your achievements and your accolades. It all comes to naught if at the end of it you only build yourself instead of building people, changing lives and outcomes, and creating that ripple effect of purpose driven leadership where people remember you for what you have done and how you made them feel rather than for you standing up for deadlines and policies. So we want to give you a treat today. I have a Valentine treat for ladies who want to do just what we're saying, steady themselves in their purpose, dig themselves into not just surface level understanding, but going deep down to the hardcore of what their core values are, identifying their spiritual gifts and how they can align it with their career and purpose, how to overcome their fear and confusion that is keeping them from stepping into their calling, how to create sustainable pathways with your gifts and your profits, whether you're moving up in your organization across or out into your brilliant new idea, how to take actionable steps to create this pathway and this life that honors God. And so I'm giving a treat. I usually do this group session for $50, but I'm offering it on the 26th of February as a Valentine self-care treat for just 20 US dollars. Those of you who are interested, you will see it on my post today and you will see how you can sign up or book or join us. All right. So this is where we want to align our spiritual gifts with our career and our life and our purpose for fulfillment and profit. So I'm offering this as a treat because I believe in self-love, I believe in self-care, and I believe in our God-given paths and purpose. And I believe and have discovered and know for myself that you are on a treadmill that is moving but not going anywhere when you are not understanding your purpose. You can be fulfilled, you can be competent, you're not failing, but you can't be fulfilled unless you join those two together. You cannot be actualized. You will constantly feel this nudging that something is off. You are feeling guilty. You just can't identify the crime you're committing. You are not excited about going to work, although you're getting the accolades and the title. There is something, there is something in you that needs to be filled. And I've been there and done that. We want you to stop apologizing to your purpose and we want you to press into it. And it doesn't mean that you change your job. No, that's not what we're saying. We're meaning what we are saying is that you connect the gap. You whatever gap is there is there. It can be that you move away from where you are because that's not where your purpose must culminate. That's where it started, but it's not to be culminated there. We push you into that direction. And those who want to use your talents and gifts, especially now when there are massive layoffs and so on, to fulfill their purpose, I give you that small session. Of course, this is just a tip of the iceberg. What we offer in this session is just the space for you to learn and to do those things. And it's really free, but this 20 is just to pay the bills in relation to the platforms that you use. You have to pay for them. And so we want to put it together. So we use the right platforms and persons benefit in the process. So see that 20 as just keeping the platform alive and up, because this is just my treat for you today. And so I normally end this session with prayer. And so we want to pray today, Heavenly Father, guide us and lead us with wisdom, courage, and integrity. Align our hearts with your purpose so that our leadership brings glory to you and impact to others. Strengthen us to serve with humility and understanding, and inspire us with vision so we can leave a lasting legacy of personal accountability and change. May our work reflect your kingdom. Amen. So this is where we are. And so we end this session today again, thanking everyone for your contributions and for joining us. Have a blessed, purposeful year. And remember to make sure that you get a leader like you, or you DM me, or you book your Soul Sync Powered Up session so you can understand how you can offer and dig into inspiring authentic leadership in your space. Identify and connect the gap is an important phase. Thank you, Nadine. I see you there. Thank you, Karen. This is a great class today, Dr. Marcia. Thank you for holding this authentic space for leaders. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Same here, Lincoln User. Thank you so much. Amen. When we say amen, we are out of here. Those who need to speak, you can or join our group coaching session so you get support from like-minded individuals. The link would be in the chat for your registration. As soon as you register, you are sent the details, and you also get your free gift. For those who want to know if they need to join the session, you just need to do your alignment, your purpose alignment audit, which is on my profile. Have a great day, everyone, and God bless you.